hello everyone. By the way, my name is Glenn Dimuwakan, and here's my group mates. Stephen Tabasaw, Jay Sabang, Jewel Rabi, and Paul Brian Piper. So our topic for today is about green law, or shall we say, environmental law. And here's the assigned tasks or topics that we discuss each. First, Philippine Clear Air Act. The second is the Pollution Control Law. The third is improper disposal of garbage. The fourth is Toxic Substances and Hazardous Nuclear Waste Control Act. The fifth is Philippine Clear Water Act. The sixth is Climate Change Act 2009. The seventh is Consumer Act of the Philippines. And the last is Solid Waste Act 2021. So before we discuss those topics that relate to our topic, which is green law, we must know what is green law. So I ask you, what is green law? Okay, green law or environmental law is the collection of laws, regulations, agreements, and common law that governs how humans interact with their government. What is the purpose of the green law? The purpose of environmental law or green law is to protect the environment and create rules for how people can use natural resources. Environmental laws not only aim to protect the environment from harm, but they also determine who can use natural resources and on what terms. So, first topic, Philippine Clear Air Act. Okay. Republic Act number 8749, otherwise known as the Philippine Clear Air Act, is a comprehensive air quality management policy and program which aims to achieve and maintain healthy air for all Filipinos. Lifted from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in the year 2003 in the month of August. And here's the following questions. What is the act known as the Philippine Clear Air Act of 1999? And what is the main purpose of the Clean Air Act? And what is the Clean Air Act? And what are the principles of Clean Air Act of 1999? Okay, shall we answer those questions? Okay, first question, what is the act known as the Philippine Clear Air Act of 1999? Republic Act 8749. On Section 1, short title, this act shall be known as the Philippine Clear Act of 1999. And second question is, what is the main purpose of the Clean Air Act? Okay, the Clean Air Act, or shall we say CAA in a short name, in the comprehensive federal law that regulates air emissions from stationary and mobile sources. What is the Clean Air Act? Okay, the Clean Air Act gives the Environmental Protection Agency the necessary tools to protect our families from a number of harmful pollutants that can cause asthma and lung disease, especially to children. Weakening this standard would allow more pollution in the air we breathe and threaten our children's health. Okay, what are the principles of the Clean Air Act of 1999? Okay, the CAA provides that the state shall protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature, that promote and protect the global environment while recognizing the primary responsibility of local government units to deal with environmental problems. Okay, the second topic is the Pollution Control Law. In the Republic Act of 3931, in creating the National Water and Air Pollution Control Commission, the Act declares as national policy to maintain reasonable standard of purity for the waters and of this country with their utilization for domestic, agricultural, industrial, and other legitimate purposes.
Number 3. Improper disposal of garbage. Improper waste disposal is the disposal of waste in a way that has negative consequences for the environment. Examples include littering, hazardous waste that is dumped into the ground, and not recycling items that should be recycled. Here is the effect of improper disposal of garbage. What is the cause of improper waste disposal? The major causes of improper management of solid waste are related to the lack of financial management and logistics, deficient municipal infrastructures, lopsided planning postures, disregard for basic aesthetics, and industrial and commercial growths, as well as the perception and sociocultural practices. How does improper waste disposal affect the environment? An inefficient municipal solid waste management system may create serious negative environmental impacts like infectious diseases, land and water pollution, obstruction of drains, and loss of biodiversity. What are the negative effects of the improper waste disposal? Here are the 10 negative effects of the improper removal and disposal of waste. Soil contamination, air contamination, water contamination, bad impact on human health, and impact on animals and marine life, disease carrying pests, adversely affect the local economy, and miss recycling opportunities. How can we prevent improper waste disposal? Easy and simple ways to reduce landfill waste: donate clothes, reduce food waste, meal plan, eat healthy, save save leftovers for next day, buy things in bulk with less packaging, avoid food wrapped in plastic, and bring your own bag. Number 4, toxic substances and hazardous nuclear. Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act number 6969 of 1990, an act to control toxic substances and hazardous and nuclear wastes, providing penalties for violations thereof and for other purposes. Following questions: what is the act known as the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Wastes Control Act of 1990? What are toxic substances and hazardous wastes? What is Toxic and Hazardous Waste Republic Act of 6969? What is Republic Act 6969 all about? What is the act known as the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990? Republic Act number 6969, or the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990, to control, supervise, and regulate activities on toxic chemicals and hazardous waste. What are toxic substances and hazardous waste? According to EPA, toxic waste is only waste that is harmful or fatal to living organisms when absorbed or ingested. Hazardous waste is the lower level of potentially harmful substances. Toxic is higher. Hazardous waste can be, but is not necessarily toxic. All toxic waste is hazardous. What is Toxic Hazardous Waste Republic Act 6969? Toxic and Hazardous Waste Republic Act 6969 is commonly known as the Toxic Substances, Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990. This system enables the regional office to keep track of the volume of hazardous wastes generated in Metro Manila and traces their final point of destination. What is Republic Act 6969 all about? An act to control toxic substances and hazardous and nuclear wastes, providing penalties for violations thereof and for other purposes. Approved on October 26, 1990, an act to control toxic substances and hazardous and nuclear wastes, providing penalties for violation thereof and for other purposes.
The Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004, also known as Republic Act No. 9275, aims to protect the country's water bodies from pollution from land-based sources, industry and commercial establishments, agriculture, and community or household activities. Following question: what was the purpose of the Clean Water Act? Who implemented RA 9275? What is the evolution of RA 9275? What was the purpose of the Clean Water Act? The Clean Water Act, or CWA, is the primary federal statute regulating the protection of the nation's water. The CWA aims to prevent, reduce, and eliminate pollution in the nation's water in order to restore and maintain the chemical, physical, and biological integrity of the nation's water, as described in CWA Section 101A. Who implemented RA 9275? The RA 9275 titled an act providing for a comprehensive water quality management and other purposes, also known as the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004, was signed by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on March 22, 2004. What is the violation of RA 9275? Failure to undertake cleanup operations willfully or through gross negligence shall be punished by imprisonment of not less than 2 years and not more than 4 years, and fine not less than 50,000 and not more than 100,000 pesos per day for each day. Number 6. Climate Change Act 2009. The RA 9729 of 2009, this act aims to integrate disaster risk reduction measures into climate change adaptation plans, development, and poverty reduction programs. Following questions: what is the Climate Change Act of 2009 all about? What is RA 9729 all about? What is RA 9729 title and descriptions? What are the objectives of RA 9729? What is Climate Change Act of 2009 all about? RA 9729, otherwise known as the Climate Change Act of 2009, was built upon the 9729 allowed mainstreaming of climate change into government, formulation of programs and projects, plans and strategies and policies, creation of Climate Change Commission, and establishment of framework, strategy, and program for climate change. What is RA 9729 all about? The Climate Change Act, or RA 9729, and its implementing rules and regulation. The Act establishes the Climate Change Commissions as the sole policy-making body within government, which oversees, coordinates, and evaluates climate change policy and plans. What is RA 9729 titled? Description: an act mainstreaming climate change into government policy formulation, establishing the framework, strategy, and program on climate change, creating for this purpose the Climate Change Commission and for other purposes. Section 1, title: This Act shall be known as the Climate Change Act of 2009. What are the objectives of RA 9729? As a party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the states adopt the ultimate objective of the convention, which is the stabilization of greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system, which should be
The Consumer Act of the Philippines. The Philippine government adopted RA 7394, or the Consumer Act of the Philippines of 1991, as the legal basis for the consumer protections in our country. This law embodies the state of the policy of the protections of the consumers and establishment standard over the conduct of the business and industry in our country. With this following question, it may help us what is the importance of the Consumer Act of the Philippines. First, what are the 8 basic rights of the consumer? Next, what happens if you violated the Consumer Act of the Philippines? Then, what is RA 9211 all about? What is a Consumer Act? What are the 8 basic rights of the consumer? The 8 consumer rights are the rights of satisfactions of needs to have the access or basic essential goods and a service such as adequate food, cloth, shelter, healthcare, education, public utilities, water, and lastly, sanitation. What happened if you violated the Consumer Act of the Philippines? Any person shall be violated the provisions of the Article 18 or the subject of fine of the less of 1,000 pesos, not more than 10,000 pesos, or imprisonment or less than 2 months or more than 1 year. What is RA 9211 all about? Republic Act 9211 is also known as Tobacco Regulation Act of 2003 or the Omnibus Law regulating smoking in public places, tobacco advertisement, promotion and sponsor, and sales restrictions among requirement of 7394 addresses to the false, deceptive, or misleading advertisement in general. What is Consumer Act? Consumer protection law exists in the prevention of the unethical business practices such as false advertising or faulty productions. Most of the consumer goods are Federal Trade Commission that regulates the warranty service of contract. What is Consumer Act? Consumer protection law exists to prevent of the dangerous unethical business practice and such advertising on faulty products for the consumer goods. The Federal Trade Commission that regulates the warranty service of the contract.
Solid Waste Management Act 2021. The Republic Act 9003, otherwise known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, provides the necessary policy frameworks, institutional mechanisms, and mandate to the local government to achieve 25% waste reduction through establishing an integrated solid waste management plans based on March 1, 2013. Following question: what is Republic Act 9003 all about? What are the existing policies regarding solid waste management in the Philippines? Who implemented the Republic Act 9003? What is Republic Act 9003 all about? Republic Act 9003 declares the policy of the state in adopting a systematic, comprehensive, and ecological solid waste management program that ensures the protection of public health and the environment and the proper segregation, collection, transport, storage, treatment, and disposal of solid waste through the formulation. What are the existing policies regarding solid waste management in the Philippines? The Philippines has endeavored to improve its management of solid waste through the passage of Republic Act 9003, or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, that provides for a systematic, comprehensive, and ecological waste management program to ensure the protection of public health and the environment. Who implemented the Republic Act 9003? The National Solid Waste Management Commission is the major agency that tasked to implement Republic Act 9003, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. The law signed in January 26, 2001 calls for the institutionalization of a national program that will manage the control, transport, processing. Thank you, that's all.